Let's bring in former Republican Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee joins me now. Good to see you.
Thanks, Liz. I'm watching this, and it's just stunning. It's like they're all reading a script trying to question the emotional empathy of Donald Trump. And I want to say to them, some people eat their soup louder than other people, but it doesn't mean that the soup tastes better. Donald Trump is not the kind of guy who goes and just breaks out in a bawling fit, but he showed real empathy by marshaling all of the resources of the federal government in advance of the storm and helping people when they needed it. I think people would much rather have a leader who's getting things done when they're standing up there to their waist in water than they have somebody that does nothing right but sits around and sheds tears for them. I think the president showed a great deal of empathy today. He wrote a check for $1 million of his own money.
Right.
Now, that's the kind of empathy a lot of people appreciate.
And, Governor, just looking at the facts, 21,000 federal workers, 24 federal agencies there, the Pentagon, HHS. Now, will the media attack Vice President Pence in the same manner?
I'm sure if they can figure out a way to do it, they will. They don't hate him quite as much as they hate the president. But this is a media that has discredited itself in a way that is embarrassing for them, because rather than focus upon what is being done for the victims, which is really the focus, they have focused on their perception of Donald Trump's attitude. And I find this amazing. Unless they're all clinical psychologists and have had an opportunity to personally examine him, they have no idea what's in his heart and mind. And it's just bizarre. But the good news is this president seems to be ignoring that criticism, and he's stepping up, not only being there on Tuesday, but going back on Saturday into the area, the vice president there today. But more importantly, rather than just showing up, they are ordering the resources and assets of the federal government in cooperation with the state, federal, or the state and local entities. Yeah. And it's been very effective.
You know, Governor, you know, just stepping back and looking at it objectively, what the media has been saying, when you look at it, it's sort of like this D.C. media gotcha blame game factory. You know, it's been temporarily shut down because of these inspiring stories coming out of Texas. You know, it's sort of like those old 50s movies where Greek gods sit on clouds criticizing. That has shut down. It seems like they can't cast blame because what's coming out of Texas is just too positive and too inspiring. You know, inspiring stories of the forgotten man finding a literal disastrous swamp. And now, D.C., you know what, cut it out with your swamp. Go fight for the forgotten man and get the policies and the help Texas needs.
A lot of Americans have seen America at its best this week. People who aren't being paid to go out there and risk their lives, but they're doing it because they're neighbors. And nobody's asking, are you black or white? Are you Democrat, Republican? Right. Do you agree with me or not? They're just helping because they're fellow human beings. And my heart has been gratified. I think all of Americans have been touched by the extraordinary scenes of watching these first responders, as well as just people from the Cajun Navy and other volunteer organizations, rush to the sound of the guns, if you will, helping these people who really, they don't have time to wait for somebody to come get them who has a badge or who has authorization. They just need somebody to get them off the roof and do it right now. And folks have done it with pool floats. They've done it with jet skis, and they've done it with every kind of device. And the result is we have, sadly, some people who have been killed. Yeah. But it's nothing like the over 1,800 that perished in Katrina, a sight that none of us, God forbid, ever want to see again. Yeah.
You know, the media, as to your point, has been trying to politicize the issue. The fact is, Harris County, where Houston sits, I think, went for Hillary Clinton, 54 to 46, whatever it was. You know, the death toll of Hurricane Harvey, Governor, it is rising to fearing over 31. We brought you this story. It took the life of Houston police officer Steve Perez as he drove to help people in need. Texas Senator Ted Cruz reacted earlier. Let's listen.
You look at the Houston police officer who was killed, Sergeant Perez. He came in, his wife begged him not to go, said the water's too high, don't go in. He drove in anyway. He said, I've got to, it's my job, I got to save people. He drove in, he couldn't get to his ordinary duty station, so he went to another station to report for duty and got caught in fast-moving water and lost his life. I mean, those are the those are the stories of bravery. We're seeing one after the other, and it's really what has saved Houston throughout the storm.
Quite a story. What's your reaction, Governor?
You know, I don't know of any person who doesn't feel a deep sense of just grief for this family, but this is the character of 99 9/10% of the police officers, firemen, first responders all over America. Liz, these are true heroes. When other people are getting out of danger, they're going into the middle of it. And every time they do it, they're risking their lives. And some of them end up giving their lives trying to save other people. This officer is a reminder and example of what we owe to these folks who often wear uniforms, but they wear something else deep inside that the eye can't see. They wear a sense of character and a sense of responsibility for other people, and they're certainly not paid well enough to do that. It's something inside of them that gives them the capacity to care that much.
Yeah, you're right, Governor. It's, you know, you're right. They aren't paid enough, and I've heard it time and again, first responders are born into heroism. They're born that way. And so that's why, you know, the White House, and it looks like the federal government is stepping up to take care of Texas and Louisiana. It's deploying federal resources, including help from the Pentagon. But, Governor, the Katrina commander for New Orleans, he's Lieutenant General Russell Honore, he said the government's response is amateur hour, that we are busy fighting terrorism when disaster responses should not be cooked up on the fly by each state, each of the 50 states, because you got people hanging by a thread. He's saying there should be a more uniform response at the ready. What do you think?
I think he's wrong. I think he doesn't understand what is done at the state and local level. As a governor of a state and as somebody who took in 75,000 evacuees during Katrina, we marshaled resources and took care of people in a way that really met needs in I think, an extraordinary way. And I think he just doesn't know enough about what he's talking about when he says that, because if you look at what was done in the cooperative effort between the state, the local and the federal levels in this Houston issue, it is stark contrast to what happened in Katrina when you had these agencies fighting each other and not making decisions. A lot of the people died in New Orleans because decisions got bottlenecked and everybody was worried about the right paperwork rather than taking care of people. When you have a disaster of this consequence, you've got to either bend, sometimes break rules, but forget the rules. Take care of people first. And so I think that's exactly what's happened. And I would say that every one of the governors of America and the county officials and mayors are prepared for this, and they do get ready for it. And to say otherwise is just disingenuous or uninformed.
Governor Huckabee, always good to see you. Thanks so much for coming on.